You have found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. On today's episode, me and Stevo stepping in for Pat. We're going to discuss the Bulls squashing any and all Zach LaVine trade rumors. We're also going to talk about how the Chicago Bulls can fix their rough start. And the in-season tournament starts today as the Bulls face off against the Brooklyn Nets. We're going to talk about all that and more right after this.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Stevo stepping in for Pat the Designer, host of NBA Central. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedon and use code all lowercase locked on NBA for a first deposit match up to $100. All right, Stevo. So it came out recently that the 76ers had two players on their target list that they were looking forward to trading try to trade for with the assets they got in the James Harden trade, and that was Zach LaVine and OG Anunoby. Really didn't make a lot of sense because they aren't trying to give up any young players. They're trying to add the only first-round pick. Well, the first-round picks that they could trade out are out to 2028, which really wouldn't make sense for the Bulls as if they would have went into a rebuild. But Joe Cowley of the Chicago Sun-Times came out and said that the Bulls have no plans or intention of trading Zach LaVine. And even if they did, the Philadelphia 76ers assets are not one that they would be interested in. What do you think about the Bulls kind of squashing those rumors with the 76ers and Zach?
I think it was expected. I think we all expected it coming because, unfortunately, in this current day NBA, signing any type of money or any type of extension is probably meaning you're gonna still be in trade rumors. That's just the belly of the beast. That just is what it is. And for me, I think everybody was tripping on like, why is he even in the conversation? Well, it shows you the value of Zach LaVine. That for all the people that want to get rid of him, there's people that want him. Clearly, this is why he's in the conversation. They went and asked and said, "Oh, is he available? We want to get him." And we was like, "No." And I think further on and early in the year, when we were even maybe entertaining it, we also showed sign to kind of compare it to the Bears situation with Jalen Johnson. When they asked him the asking price, it was super high. When you ask for an asking price that's super high, that guarantees you that the ownership in the front office wants to keep him for the most part. And if they're willing to give up, you're going to give them something in return. And most people are probably not going to do that. So I seen it come. I knew they was going to squash it. Everybody knows that Zach is the cornerstone. We wouldn't have signed them that money. We didn't think that. And I think it just, to us, I look at it as a good thing to show us that it's value in this dude. And it's not just us that's the people that think Zach has the potential to be better than what he has shown us or what he's shown in the past. It just shows us more that he has the potential to do so.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you touched on a good point there. Like, even if the Bulls are to trade Zach, they value him so high that the value never changed. 2 first-round picks, a young, promising player, and a veteran for salary cap filler. That hasn't wavered for 1.5, almost 2 years. That is the asking price for Zach LaVine. So that is what it's going to take. While some Bulls fans are so, like I said, as fans of a team, we can be so zoomed in sometimes on players. And a lot of the Bulls fan base kind of undervalues Zach because of his flaws, because we see it night in and night out. That's not to say that he doesn't have flaws, but teams value that skill set that Zach LaVine has, and they see Zach. He can be one of the top 10 to 12 scorers in the NBA if he just wanted to go out there and just fill it up. So that's a valuable skill. On top of that, I'd say this is one of Zach's best defensive seasons, more active defensive seasons that I've ever seen.
People are not mentioning. That people are definitely not mentioning, because that's the one thing we know about athletic players. When it comes to athletic players, you have no reason not to be a great defender. That's what makes the great defenders great defenders, their athleticism. And we've seen him when Zoe was out there, with Caruso's out there, even with Javon is out there. When there's people leading the charge on defense, being active, you also seen even DeMar being active, being in the pass lane. He has quite a few steals early on that most people are not bringing up. And when you see somebody in the crowd of Debo who plays optional defense just like Zach, it makes you want to play defense. So the whole team has been playing great defense for the most part to start off the year. And I don't think he's not getting enough credit for that. He's definitely been stepping up on the defensive part. And I feel like it's kind of saving him for his short upcomings in the offensive game.
Yeah, and nobody shot the ball effectively so far. We got to be clear here. Zach and Vooch, DeMar, they're all up until like last two games. They all were shooting. Their true shooting percentages were some of the worst of their career, collectively and individually. So like nobody's shooting the ball effectively, but Zach has stepped up as far as his activity, as far as his awareness defensively. I like to see that as well. And so if that shooting comes along for Zach, which we all kind of expect to happen at some point, it's going to be a really solid season, probably one of Zach LaVine's best seasons as well individually. But we know we need that team success. And, if the Bulls do make a major trade, I don't think it's going to be Zach. I think it'll be more so to try to add to this team and maybe complement him, because I said it over on Central today. Zach LaVine has been playing solidly, but one player as well that a lot of Bulls fans hate on, and even said it was an overpay. Nikola Vucevic has proven that contract, if anything, is an underpay for the way he's been playing.
I keep telling people, you ain't too many centers out here getting 21 and 20.
Yeah.
It's just not happening. And he does it so often that we be looking up and like, golly, this man got 10 rebounds and it's the end of the first quarter. Like, what's going on here? Like, he brings that type of value to this team. And we've said on multiple occasions, when you feed through Vooch and let Vooch be Vooch, stop giving him always the opportunity to shoot a three or to catch it at the elbow. Drop it down low, and when he sees somebody like Derek Lively, he'll take that time to back down 3 times and then make his move, which goes in half the time, and that's what you've been seeing. You get that entry pass to him, he goes to work 9 times out of 10. That leads the flow of the offense to be way much better.
Yeah, and I don't like giving Billy Donovan very much credit. He is going to Vooch a little bit more, except in the fourth. He's right back to his old tactics in the fourth quarter, not going to Vooch, which is frustrating as well in that aspect. If you had to bet, do you think any member of the core three, Vooch, DeMar, Zach, are moved this season if the struggles continue? Debo
is the only person I see, because one, the contract, the extension talks says, according to him or the sources I've heard, I'm saying it comes to a stall, which is it's understandable at the beginning of the season. Hey, you're not playing the best right now. The whole team isn't, so I can understand that. But I've always said I'll be watching the deadline for him, because, like I said, he's always going to be our target for a team that's a real contender. Because teams that need that closer, he fits. I don't care how much people do say it, and people might have heard me in the past and say how much I don't like Debo at times, but I understand what he can bring in the playoff, and I feel like he has a playoff game in the right situation on the right team. I just don't believe it's this team. But
yeah, I mean, Debo could help a lot of teams, especially if you're a team that already has a solid foundation and you're just trying to add it to the top, right? Especially with where Debo is now, he can help a lot of teams. I always go back and forth, because I can understand why the Chicago Bulls absolutely probably need, if this continues, these struggles, to need to make a change. But AK, I always look at what AK's done, said, and it just seems like he is very content on letting things go to their natural conclusion as it stands right now. And so it's not the right choice, but if he does eventually just let DeMar walk in free agency, if that's what it gets to, I think that AK is prepared to let that be the case. And Bulls fans are gonna really go crazy if that ends up happening.
Hey, it is what it is. I've always said, besides Zach, I feel like everybody's expendable at this point. If he sees a vision going elsewhere and he has a vision for a certain thing or a certain team that he sees that he can make a move on, he's going to do it. I don't feel like nobody's here stuck, even Zach to some degree. It's a nice enough package that he gives back, and he has a vision that he feel like it could come to fruition. He's probably going to act on it.
Yeah. We'll see, man. Hopefully AK got something planned and up his sleeve, whether it is moving a member from the core or not. We still have half our mid-level exception. We still have the full disabled player exception of $10.1 million. So if AK wanted to get creative, he can. Now, we don't think that this is going to be the team Jerry OK is going into the luxury tax for, but there are assets to try to do some maneuvering if they want to. But
he ain't.
Yeah, no. Listen, Jerry says all that about willing to go into the luxury tax for a championship contender, but I almost think like even if let's say the Bulls made it to an Eastern Conference Finals and lost in the Game 7, I fully think Jerry would be like, all right, bet, but what can you do with half that mid-level exception? You got to use all of it? You sure about that? We got this player over here that we don't really use. You can get rid of that rookie or trade this pick. It's just always going to be something. It's a give and take with Jerry. Man.
Jerry, the type that get mad when he got to pay for cheese. He that type. He the type
charging me $1 to add cheese to my chicken sandwich.
I guarantee you, he has somebody that he brings them certain type of foods into movie theaters. I guarantee you, he that type. That mug got a whole salad in the movie theater watching Spider-Man.
That's funny. That's hilarious. But next up, we're going to talk about how the Bulls can fix their rough start and what can go into that. But before we do that, I got to talk to you guys about one of our sponsors, and that is PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy platform in North America. We're the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of players, including pros, sharks, you pick more or less than 2 to 6 players, their stat projections, and watch the winnings roll in. With basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that includes 2 or more players from different sports or league. For example, LeBron James plus Travis Kelce at a 10.5 combo of 3-pointers made plus receptions. Want to play alongside some of PrizePicks' favorite players like rapper Meek Mill and competing Andrew Schultz? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the PrizePicks community each week. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedon and use code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/LOCKEDONNBA and use code lowercase LOCKEDONNBA for first deposit match up to $100. All right. So defense for the Chicago Bulls has been pretty solid this season. We sit right now currently ranked as the 13th best team as far as defensive efficiency in the league so far, which is above middle of the pack, which is solid. Offensively, right now, we've actually dropped down to 25th in efficiency. So once again, that large gap between the defensive efficiency and offensive efficiency. And so when we talk about some of the things that can fix the Bulls' struggles, the thing that I always go to is just the efficiency offensively. I understand that we're a team that's trying to push the pace, trying to shoot more threes to get more towards the league average, trying to do that. But I think that maybe there's been a bit of an overcorrection with that, where we're shooting more threes, but not really taking effective threes. We're missing a lot of wide open ones too. So kind of the thing that I go to as far as fixing the Bulls' struggle is firstly being a more efficient offense, whatever that means. What about you, Stevo?
Yeah, I was coming in the same way. I was like, I don't know if it was the right direction coming in saying, oh, we need a certain amount of threes to get to the league average when we necessarily don't have the right personnel to do so. So over the past few games, I feel like they have toned it down. I believe the game, the Indiana game, I think we had over 43s or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And then we dropped all the way to you look at the Dallas game, we only had 33. That's more reasonable for me. That's more around the once we get past 35, I'm a little bit uncomfortable because at that point I feel like we jack it. Now we hitting, go ahead and pull them. But I don't like going to this whole aspect that we need to because it's the league is changing. We need to go towards it's almost like with any other sport. Yeah, the league is changing. You do have to go towards that type of way. But if your team is only set up a certain type of way, I'm gonna correlate it to football. We all know the passing game is a big thing and it's becoming a more popular thing in this league. But if you got a run heavy team, run the ball. Just like us, we have a team that can kill in the interior. We can kill in the paint. And sometimes I feel like a lot of times we lose games because we don't focus on the paint and we're just too busy trying to work on getting our shots up.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that's the thing is we work things around and when you look at the number of open shots we miss, of course, that you would expect that to come back to the mean, regression to the mean at some point where it's like we're going to get back to hitting most of those, which by itself is going to make us a more efficient offense. The thing I look at it too is that we have now increased our offensive rebounds considerably from last year, and second chance points are rising as well. But like, I think sometimes we can benefit from slowing it down and running a set rather than just jacking up the first shot after an offensive rebound, and that can help with that efficiency as well.
Yeah. That was definitely a killer for us because it's almost like shooting some of those threes that we do would almost be like a guaranteed turnover almost because they'll just go down and score quickly because we'll never get back on defense. But yeah, it has been a nice uprise because you got players like Torrey Craig that will crash the board, and now because Torrey is seeing, now you're seeing P. Will starting to do it. Last game he had I forget. Yeah, it was last game. He had that key where he didn't even get the rebound. He just poked his hand and it rolled off the shoulder, and we got the ball back.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that is why it's starting to be in an uptick. And we're understanding that because we're a smaller team, we have to crash the boards. That's why one of the things we used to see that I noticed after the first game we played against Houston, why they was one of the best young teams to rebound, was because they crashed with reckless abandon, and they sent the whole team to rebound. They understand they had to do it, which caused them to be pretty good on the transition, which I felt like we needed to start doing. And I see us slowly implementing that slowly. And I feel like we should adopt that, man. All hands on deck. If you see that ball coming out, everybody, it should be red jerseys, white jerseys around, if that's y'all.
Yeah, for sure. And I think right now too, like our offensive rebounding is kicked up, but it's really kicked up largely because of two players, right? Vooch and I will give this. Yeah, Drummond, and then also like Ayo Dosunmu has been a really solid offensive rebounder as well. We got to look at that, but like I think more of that team attack there is definitely going to help as well. But then it goes to the thing that we've been talking about this for like 2 years now. Move without the ball, create easy buckets.
Well, that ain't gonna happen.
It's hard to be an efficient offensive team when you literally run one of the most stagnated offenses in the NBA. Like, we don't create the easy buckets that every other team in the NBA creates just by moving without. You could get 5 to 6 easy buckets a game by moving without the ball.
Yeah, you preach to the crowd, brother. Like, like at this point, I just feel like this team is never going to adopt that because that's really a coach thing. Like, that's a part of the coach's culture. And I feel like that's never really been around the coach's culture because we didn't really see them. We've seen a lot of that in OKC at the time. It's a lot of times they just stagnating and watching KD move, or at times watch Russell just to do what he wanted to do. And that's just not part of our identity. And at times we do it. I don't understand what like you said it the other day. I think you said it on a post game, like even Billy shouldn't have to tell you to move without the basketball. It's just like sometimes our instincts just need to kick in, and I feel like what I've noticed is you got to have them little instinctually players out there to make everybody do that. Because if AC do it, Pat be like, "Oh yeah, I could do that too." If Drummond's out there, they look at Drummond. Bruce be like, "Oh yeah, I could do that too." And then that's how everybody adopted it. It's contagious. Everything you see is contagious if you see one another doing it.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just funny because like we don't have the best shooters in the league, right? We all know that, but it's amazing that these players have to be told that to the degree. I understand it is, and you're right. It is part of coaching. It is part of the culture. It is part of the system when you don't get that out of players. But also, it's like you just don't move without the ball. Like that's basketball. Most of these guys have been playing basketball their whole lives. Why are we sitting around and watching? And that's one of the reasons as well that Ayo has been so much more effective coming off the bench because he's understanding now, let me go out there and get active.
Yeah.
That's all we need.
And that's why I was like, I think what is up to Billy more is to realize what players to do that with to get the whole team out, like the Carusos, like the Ayos. Because like you said, people been playing their whole life. I don't think Pat been playing basketball his whole life. No, and it shows.
What was he, 16, 17?
I think he started in high school. Yeah, I think he was like 14 at the latest. So it shows. Like it shows that Ayo been playing since he was 8 years old because he don't have to be like, oh, I see a hole, I'm taking it. And he'll get either cause him to get a cut to the basket and they see him, or if they miss a shot, he get the rebound. Yeah. And that could be the same thing for others. And so when if you pay attention, when players like him are out there, everybody else doing it. From Vooch, from Zach, from Debo. They started doing it because they see Torrey Craig, they see Drummond, they see all the others doing AC, they see all them doing it.
Yeah.
So it's up to Billy to realize that's what makes, and that's the thing that I don't like about Billy, because I feel like he don't understand relationships and the feeling of the game. You just gotta understand when and where to put certain players at the certain right time. Yeah, you could be like, all right, the Kobe is giving me a not a good start. I'm gonna put Javon in. Maybe we should have put AC in, not because that's what we need right now. It's just certain type of feeling that you need to know as a coach, and I think he just some games he got in, some games he don't.
Yeah, it's and that's the thing with Billy is I've just come to the conclusion that with Billy Donovan as your head coach, you're always one of the things that is always you're always gonna run into a problem with him with is adjustments. Is always going to be a problem, and stagnation on the offensive side. That's just always going to be a problem with him, and that's just one of his limitations. Everybody has limitations as a coach, as a player, all those things. That's just one of the things that you run into with him, and he really does kind of let his stars do their own thing, and so it's just going to be
drink
something
some damn
lemonade.
then. If it's such a damn limitation, then.
But that's funny. Next up, we're going to be talking about the Bulls starting their in-season tournament play today against the Brooklyn Nets. But before we do that, I got to talk to you guys about our sponsor, FanDuel. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. And speaking of our team, the Chicago Bulls currently right now come into this game against the Brooklyn Nets at a -3 on the spread. So, hey, Bulls fans, if you go out there and bet, there you guys go. You can get a little bit of money on that. Let's see how the in-season tournament plays out. It's going to be interesting to see how this in-season tournament plays out as well, but I'm sure a lot of people are betting on that as well. But if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon, locked on, and kick off the NFL season. That's the FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right, Stevo. Man, last topic for today. In-season tournament starts today. The Chicago Bulls start with their new flashy all-red court and those City Edition jerseys. How are you feeling about, the in-season tournament overall? I think one thing that's good about the in-season tournament that I think a lot of people don't quite understand yet is that these games are just part of the regular season, all 82. The only teams that will be playing an additional game if they make it to the championship round where they'll have one extra game. But how you feel about the in-season tournament? How you feel about the Bulls matchup with the Brooklyn Nets, all that?
I'm still on the hopes. Like I still got to see how it turns out. Like it's almost like when we saying the end season tournament. Like you just got to see how it works. You got to see if people gonna take it seriously. Now, if people take it seriously, I'm gonna watch it because that's the whole thing. I think that's the whole purpose is to get people to take something serious early on in the season to keep people, because we already seen a lot of players are already out and we ain't seen them play. So I think that's why it was always implemented, and I feel like teams like us can benefit from it because, as you know, we having a not the greatest start, and it could be our get right time. It could be a lot of teams get right time. It can have a lot of teams help them ramp up. It can I don't know what it could be like. It's just I mean, obviously, is the league being a little different, paying attention to what works over in Europe and all over in the soccer leagues over there. So they're just doing what others do, like other leagues steal from each other. They see what works, but we just I'm coming in with an open eye, but I ain't trying to downplay it so much. So I'm gonna see what it do, but I don't know how I feel about these Reds. We gonna be seeing red for real. Like by the time the halftime is, you're gonna think the sun outside every time you look around. But hey, it's cold. I will say, whoever that designed those City Edition jerseys, we got to talk.
Well, so I actually got invited. I wasn't able to go because it was in the middle of the week. They did a jersey release where the artist and everything that designed the jersey was there explaining it. And I love the story behind the jersey. Like you talked about what went in from the old Chicago Stadium and things that are like little references to the city of Chicago. And I respect all that. but you could have executed a little bit of a different way, in my opinion.
Story time. I'm cool. That's like I said, you can have a nice story, but sometimes if the cover art bogus, ain't nobody gonna pick that book. I'm just be honest, but like
you're not wrong.
The only reason I don't like it is because we look like those Bill Walton Blazers. You remember those jerseys?
I do.
And we look too much.
It does look a lot like.
And that's why every time I see it, I'm like, I don't like it. But it's all right. I've seen worse. But
Atlanta's this year is absolutely trash. Theirs and Portland's are absolutely.
Have you seen some of these courts?
Yeah, bro. The courts are like.
First of all, half of these teams lying because some of these courts not in their color. Like I'm still trying to figure out why Atlanta got a powdered blue court. I don't understand
the City Edition jersey, but I still don't understand how they got to that either, though.
Y'all know for peaches, how you get to blue?
This man said for peaches.
They are. This is the peach state, ain't it? Atlanta. Yeah. I mean, state or whatever. But that's my whole. It's cool. Like it's cool. Just it's something to give people attention. They definitely putting a lot of things into it. Countless commercials. Like you said, everybody court is very vibrant. These city jerseys are very vibrant. So they're trying to catch your attention. So we're gonna make it see what it do. But to the go tours, the who we play tonight, Brooklyn Nets. They starting out pretty well. We kind of got into I won't say a beef, but people was coming over there People's Choice and saying like we're so much better than y'all and da 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 da. And I was like, oh, okay, but come out this year, I don't know. Like, I mean, to me, talent wise, if we was coached right, I feel like we could be one of those teams. But hey, but this is definitely a winnable game. But it's all about making shots, and hopefully we don't go in this game saying we gotta shoot 40 times.
Yeah, it's about shots and defense, right? So like Cam Thomas, Mikal Bridges are absolutely the biggest two scorers that they have on that team. But I will say this: Ben Simmons ain't scoring to do nothing, but he's leading that team in assists and in rebounds. So he's a big part of like getting them extra chance points, getting shooters open. So you got to watch that. And they're a team that has 8 players that average double-digit points per game. So that attack can come all over the place for the Bulls. And we've seen that's where the Bulls, like, even if they do, let's say they do lock down Cam or they do lock down Mikal Bridges, we've seen that like in the Dallas game, right? We pretty much shut down Luka for 3 quarters out of that game, but we let the role players go off. So the Bulls are going to have to be locked in defensively. All 5 players who are on the court got to be locked in.
I'm going to be honest. I forgot Ben was back. I ain't going to lie to you. Like, I did not know none of that. Kudos to him, but I ain't too much worried about Ben. I'm more worried about Cam, more worried about Ben.
I mean, no, for sure from the scoring aspect, but like
both Cams.
Yeah, he's leading them in rebounds at 10.7. He's leading them in assists with almost 8 assists per game. Listen,
poke him in the back.
That's hilarious. It's scream at him 3-point. Yeah, he'll
shoot
it. Shoot it. But yeah, so we'll see what that means and what the team does. It's going to be one of those games where, let's see. Do you think Patrick Williams is going to come in starting again this game?
Who knows, bro?
Yeah,
I don't know. Like with Billy, who knows? You could see Alex start tonight. You never know.
That's another thing.
He's weird. He's weird like that. So you never know with this team. But if I had to take a guess, it's the same style that we've been seeing.
Yeah, probably. I don't think I think Billy Donovan's probably gonna. I get the feeling he's gonna wait probably about 10 games before he makes a change in that starting lineup. Just hope that it starts coming out and working together. But it's like I think the writing's on the wall. Yeah, but we'll see.
We can't defend you no more, fam. We can't defend you no more, bro. Like, hey, it's up to you, bro.
Listen, I still believe that Patrick Williams still has developing to do, but like I say, at some point, if we're trying to win basketball games, our focus this season isn't developing Pat. And, right or wrong, if we're trying to win basketball, I say football games, if we're trying to win basketball games, you got to put the best starting 5 out there. And I think at this point, Torrey Craig is showing that he probably is going to offer the best situation for that. So
unfortunately, because every time he come in, it's an instant impact.
Thanks.
It is what it is.
So we'll see what that means, man. But any last thoughts, Stevo, before we get up out of here?
Should I wear some special sunglasses for this game tonight? Like
You
I
keep
don't,
it's not that
bro.
bright to me, but it is
Bro,
like
bro, it's not about it being bright. It's about staring at that mug for 3+ hours.
I mean, hey,
That's what y'all not realize. I'm telling you, you gonna go to sleep and see that court.
get you some blue blockers.
Get my ass some dream catchers.
Go ahead and give your social media, Steve. Let's get up out of here, man.
He's right there. Stevo speaks on everything. Follow me, everything. NBA Central, Bad Central, all the Centrals. We got them all over there.
Absolutely. You guys can follow me at CEO Haize. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. We are free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice. For Stevo and Pat the Designer, who's going to be out for a little minute. This has been Locked On Bulls, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace, y'all.
That boy Pat gonna come back for real, brother.